O Flora of the moon, of the dream, O little ones, O fleeting will of the ancients, let the hunter be safe, let him find comfort, and let this dream, his captor, foretell a pleasant awakening. Be one day a fond, distant memory.
Hello everyone, and welcome back for the grand finale of Bloodborne. Before we do anything super significant, let's head to the Forbidden Woods to check in with Vatir one last time. I want to be sure we leveled up this covenant as much as possible before finally finishing this off. So, we take our vermin here. Actually, let's just put them all on the bar real quick. And the last one we can get. At least offline.
Ah, very good. You've crushed some vermin. I'm the master of the League, I can see it in your eyes. I'm pleased. This makes you a true fellow of the League. A confederate. Now, take this staff, a symbol of our oath, of our blood-drenched fate. You'll be welcomed as a true confederate. Go forth with renewed vigor. In short time, you will see how the mission takes hold of one's spirits. Hello, confederate. Has your stomach not turned at the world of man, so wondrously wretched and brimming with unsightly vermin, much like our very own mission? Hello, confederate, turned much...
Let's take a look at what we were given real quick. I believe this is in key items, but... oh, here it is. This is an online item. League Staff. The League Staff is the sign of a Confederate. A directory within the hilt lists the names of fellow Confederates. Members of the League brandish this staff to indicate themselves to fellow members of the League. There shall be no sympathy for those engaged in the bloody mission of the League. No matter that, an oath must be taken to uphold the illusion. That's just the equivalent of the Vile Blood Register. Switch. And... I appreciate this just gives you a cane, just because. Because it's the cane that you were just given. But they didn't really need to add that, it's just the nice visual detail. Now, we return to the Old Hunters DLC to finish off its final boss. Now, I may have had some trouble with Yarnum, the Thumerian queen, in the last video, but I expect this to go a lot better. Even though this boss is, I say, objectively harder, I have significantly more experience with it than the queen. As we come out here to this exit, we have tons of these snail women here. You can kill them, but they are not worth a single blood echo. They're all facing outward towards the beach, praying in mass. Orphan of cause. Ooh. Now, it's using its giant bladed placenta as a weapon, and a long fleshy string as like a yo-yo type thing. I love how it morphs in its second form here. big, long, flowing sort of cape. He's got a lot of wild, flailing attacks. Ooh. That went farther than I thought. And got him. Prey slaughtered. Cause parasite. Now, the very first time I did this DLC, I mentioned this before, but it bears repeating. I was forced to do this on New Game Plus, and he was significantly more difficult. I mean, I used up all my blood vials here, but there was a lot of death, like significantly more than there was in my previous video of this. And coming out of this huge beached carcass is a sort of little figure. Before we do anything with that, I want to take a good look at what we have here. We have this large pseudo slug humanoid shape, much like the snail women praying to it, up here on the beach. We could see it from up there by the lighthouse, all the way down here, showing how massive this is, like a beached whale almost. Creepy. It's got like sort of sea slug and mollusk tendencies all kind of rolled into it. I love its design, and if the name of the boss was any indication, this is Cause. Notice the humanoid womanly face in there. I believe this disembodied voice that that spoke as we entered this DLC to curse the hunters and their children forever was her dying curse. You'll see this is sort of a humanoid shape, very thin, gaunt. No limbs to speak of. Small head and an ethereal kind of gas about it, or spiritual energy, I should say. And we kill that and set it free. Nightmare slain.
Sweet child of Kos returned to the ocean. A bottomless curse, a bottomless sea, accepting of all that there is and can be.
Now, it is not explained at all anywhere who that voice was, much like the previous one, but is absolutely not the same, giving it's a male, and the intro to this DLC was female. And what I like to believe is it's a younger Gehrman, and I'll show you why. Much like the death of Lady Maria, defeating the Orphan of Kos gives special dialogue from the doll.
Oh, good hunter. I can hear Gehrman sleeping. On any other night, he'd be restless. But on this night, he sounds so very calm. Perhaps something has eased his suffering. Very well. Let the echoes become your strength. Let me...
Yeah, nowhere near enough to
Farewell.
level
May
right
you
now.
find...
So overpowered. So, given her little speech right there about how now Gehrman is sleeping a lot more peacefully, plus that voice sounding kinda like him, but not quite, I think it's the same person. I'm not sure if it's the same voice actor. I've never actually looked that up, but I just always assumed it's a young Gehrman. So, our next target is the bench. Change this. Oh wait, it's under here. Change back to milkweed. Oh, I do not have the stats to wield this. Yeah, I'm 8 short on arcane, unfortunately. But we can read it. When the carcass of Kos washed up on the coast, its insides were teeming with tiny parasites, unlike any found in humans. This atypical weapon can only be clasped tight and swung, but a Kos parasite is said to stimulate phantasms inhabiting a lumenwood. Now, the Kos parasite is essentially the analog for the Beast Claw weapon and the Beast Claw rune, in which wielding those two together turns you into sort of a hulking, powerful werewolf creature. Where the Kos parasite, if you were to wield it normally without this milkweed rune equipped, you'd just basically be swinging your fist around because you're just holding this tiny little thing. However, if I had the arcane to properly show it off, maybe I'll do some sort of late video to show off a whole bunch of these little mini weapons and the stuff I could not wield previously if I were to grind off screen. But the tentacles on your arms grow significantly larger, and then you can you're using your own tentacles as weapons in order to lash out against your foes. I guess just put back on the Impurity Rune. Or Radiance, actually. Doesn't wholly matter, as we're about to finish the game. And now back to Mergo's Loft. Well, now that there will be some more details we'll get into about the cause and its orphan as after we do this. Oh wait, I don't need to use that. Wrong elevator. As they'll fill in some details. Much context as possible. Here's Queen Yarnum again. A lot less aggressive here. Take a look at her design once more. Notice in her midsection, she is extremely bloody there, and the blood sort of flows out from there, or flowed out from there at one point. Both crying with and little sort of weird little laughter mixed in, kind of as if she's gone a little mad. Now we're at the top of Mergo's Loft. And here, much like in other parts of this nightmare, and its entrance, in which, after the defeat of the One Reborn, we have all these School of Mensis mummies just hanging around. You'll see way in the back there, quite a large moon. Mergo's wet nurse. Notice she has an invisible face, while the rest of her body is easy to see. Thank goodness. Second phase of the fight here. It summons a clone. Just teleports and turns the arena dark. The clone appears and then disappears rather quickly, just to do some moves. It's not worth engaging. In fact, this whole segment, you just want to avoid and wait it out. There's like this 8-armed winged robed figure. It's very neat visually, and I love how you can't quite tell that it doesn't have feathers. Well, it does have some feathers, but the way that they blend in with its sort of tattered robes makes it really hard to tell what you're looking at visually. Nightmare slain. 1/3 umbilical cord. Now, there was a note way earlier in this playthrough in the Yarhargul, the Unseen Village, saying silence the newborn's harrowing cry. And we just did it. Now, what exactly is a nightmare? We just saw that pop up twice. A nightmare is a great one. The highest of high, sort of ethereal eldritch beings. They are significantly more powerful than kin. Kin are people that have, in one way or another, sort of turned themselves to be closer to them with much higher insight and their crazy arcane abilities, but for the most part, they absolutely cannot touch a nightmare. And nightmares, in particular, have the ability to create these dreams that we're in. So, we went to the old hunter's nightmare that was created by the Orphan of Cause and Cause herself as sort of a curse for the for all the blood-drunk hunters and those that caused them great harm and distress in their deaths and passing. So that even in death, they're not always they aren't easily silenced except by things that are I'd say that are of equal strength to them is what is required to do so. Because even when the hunters ended what was of the Orphan of Cause in the waking world, it and its supposedly dead mother were able to create an entire nightmare realm in order to enslave and entrap them for their misdeeds. Now, we just got a 4th umbilical cord. Make sure I'm looking at the right one. Okay, yep. A great relic, also known as the Cord of the Eye. Every infant Great One has this precursor to the umbilical cord. Every Great One loses its child and then yearns for a surrogate. The cord granted Mensis audience with Mergo, but it resulted in the stillbirth of their brains. Used to gain insight and so, they say, eyes on the inside, although no one remembers what that truly entails. So, the 3 pieces of the umbilical cord, not counting the 4th that we got from Yusefka after the rising of the blood moon, all came from the fetus of that was taken from the dead, washed up corpse of Mother Cause. And that, in addition to the hunter's savage murdering and experiments on the worshippers of Cause in that fishing village, is what would spell their sort of spiritual downfall and curse them to live their nightmares endlessly, at least until we showed up. These cords, since they're part of a Great One's child, they have a special affinity in order to summon said Great Ones, because, as it noted, every Great One loses its child and yearns for a surrogate. In the strategy guide's interview section with Miyazaki, conceptually he explains this as a race becomes more advanced, they typically have less and less they do this time they spend with their children. It's this weird sort of kind of high concept stuff that I have a hard time putting into words myself. I mean, even in the interview, it feels like it's alluding to a lot more than what he's actually in his answer. And point being, the Great Ones are so advanced that they do not spend much time with their children. It seems almost as if, in some way or another, there's some forcible removal from one from the other, and potentially some sort of cosmic weird balance. And so we've destroyed Mergo's wet nurse. Mergo was the baby, not the creature we just fought. The nightmare was the wet nurse, which in terms of what that actually is, in real life, a wet nurse is a woman who is able to breastfeed a child in place of the mother. While here, I don't think that thing could do that. So, but it sure as hell sounds like it. But Mergo was taken from Yharnam. But not taken in a conventional sense. Notice how she sort of passes somewhat peacefully after we've done that task. So, what happened to Yharnam, from what we can gather, at one point, while she was pregnant with Mergo, the fetus, right before it was ready to be born at some point, was forcibly taken from her. Her hands were bound, and she was ripped open surgically and had that fetus removed, and it was used to beckon the wet nurse that we just killed. And I think what happened is that the Thumerians, when they attempted to do this bond and connection that was being formed with the wet nurse at the same time as Yharnam, the Thumerian queen, was having it taken from her. This was perhaps being done very directly. It seems like they were offering it a child as quick as they possibly could, complete with an umbilical cord. And they were in order to gain audience with it. And given the way in the Chalice dungeons you can hear the baby crying around her still, I think the bond between her and her child was very much like that of Mergo and the child, and it was sort of kind of a three-way string, and eventually this kind of thing probably caused some enormous catastrophe, like sort of I don't know, like a magical nuke or something, and kind of spelled the end of the original Thumerian civilization underneath what would eventually become underneath Yharnam. And this helped in turn made the Chalice dungeons as they are kind of a ground zero, a place between waking and dreams. The wet nurse ended up being able to take the child, just but not completely sever its connection with its mother. And the Thumerians had contact with Great Ones and had really advanced kin, such as Ebrietas, daughter of the Cosmos, which were found in the Chalice dungeons. And Ebrietas taught the modern day Yharnamites, the Healing Church, about blood ministration and its healing properties. Now, in the boss fight with Yharnam, she uses essentially just pure blood techniques. Blood everywhere, creating spheres, clones, very powerful swords, indicating she has a very, very high blood tinge ability. And so, taking all that context into account, you have to assume that much like Ebrietas and others, and the hunters and members of the Healing Church that have come to use blood ministration in all of its powerful ways, whether it be healing or destructive, Yharnam was probably very, very highly blood ministrated and had essentially a lot of power drawn from her blood. Not enough to defeat or kill a Great One like we are, but enough in order to still maintain a connection. Much like the Great One was doing with her and the child. Now, back to a dream. And it's on fire.
Good hunter, you have come. Dawn will soon break. This night and this dream will end. Gammon awaits you at the foot of the great tree. Good hunter, I sense the ancient. Very well. Let the echoes become your strength.
Level up Arcane.
Farewell, good. May you find.
So, if you kill Mergo's wet nurse before you do the DLC, you will not get any of that special dialogue from both killing the Lady Maria and Orphan of Cause, because it will override that dialogue with the Gehrman being at the foot of the great tree. It will not let you hear it. Now, also, since we've killed Mergo's wet nurse, we can use 60 insight to buy a blood rock, which was added in a patch. I think right when the DLC came out too. This door is finally open. But before we go in there, let's equip all these, or at least 3 of them. You only need 3. Ugh. And here's the great tree, as Gehrman has dreamed it. I really love this environment. You got these sort of wreathed cross-like structures here, just covered in vines and just clinging plant life. All these pretty beautiful and nice flowers that react to you a little bit. The entire edge is surrounded by tombstones, likely from memories of the hunters that Gehrman has trained in his life before probably all those lost that before he was able to have the dream created. And there he is. Let's speak to him.
Good hunter, you've done well. The night is near its end. Now, I will show you mercy. You will die, forget the dream, and awake under the morning sun. You will be freed from this terrible hunter's dream.
Submit your life or refuse. We're gonna refuse, but I would like to also take note that when he says forget the dream, he's not being literal. At least, not how I interpret it. As there's some dialogue that I'll go over with in a little bit as to what that means. But it's closer to having the hunter's mark etched into your mind and being able to use and access it, rather than actually literally losing your memories of this place.
Dear, oh dear. What was it? The hunt? The blood? Or the horrible dream? Oh, it doesn't matter. It always comes down to the hunter's helper to clean up after these sorts of messes. Tonight, Gehrman joins the hunt.
In refusing to die, he's going to have to do it himself. He's using a weapon known as the burial blade. I like that how he has his custom walk animation due to him having a peg leg. Also, when he stands up, he completely changes his clothes almost. He has like basically the same chess piece we have, the Charred Hunter set. However, it has a red interior color, so it's almost exactly like the old Hunter's attire. It's custom and you can't get it yourself. I tried. Music's also great here.
The night and the dream will long.
Prey slaughtered. Old Hunter badge. I love this. The contrast between this ugly thing and the beautiful flowers is so perfect. Such a lovely design. Moon presence, by the way. Just look at it. All these huge tentacles and everything. Didn't last long. Not against me. Nightmare slain.
Are you cold? Oh, good hunter.
Believe it or not, as many times as I played this, and done those bosses back to back, they haven't killed me. And I feel great about that. So, what happened there? called that little slug thingy Good Hunter, which is exactly how she refers to us. Meaning, we are now a great one. Like the moon presence, like the wet nurse, like the orphan and its mother cause. And why is that? How did we get here? So, we became powerful through our consumption of blood echoes. We were kind of shepherded here by the moon presence. It spoke to us in our dreams because it knew we were strong, and we could be stronger, and we can do what it needed us to do. It was manipulating a lot behind the scenes. For reasons completely unknown to us, it had some sort of rivalry and hatred for the wet nurse. This is sorry. This is it seems that the moon presence wanted it dead, and using the hunters in order to do so, rather than going up sort of face to face with it itself. Whether this is due to its own physical weakness in comparison to the wet nurse, or some sort of weird, sort of godly laws between the great ones have among each other, we can't say. I really love its design, and of course now we are the great ones, and as far as we know, the only one left in our sphere, our little bit of the universe, outside of potentially Oedon, if he has any real presence other than knocking up poor Ariana and getting her pregnant super fast and having her give birth. But I think as essentially one of the new gods, we can push humanity further, hopefully to a better future that's not so ironically bloody. And of course, the moon presence is what created the hunter's dream. When Garamond used his third of the umbilical cord to beckon it. And in that process, Garamond himself became the surrogate for the moon presence. And it embraced us before our battle, and in attempting to do so, it had that sort of bright flash of light, and it forced it to recoil in sort of pain motion. This is because before the fight, we ate 3 of the umbilical cord pieces, and that awakened us far enough on the inside in order to withstand its any sort of its influence or pull, and not have to succumb to it, either through its manipulations or physically anymore, because not only could we stand with it on a strength and physical power level, we now have the insight level in order to not be subsumed into it and to become part of it. I like to think of this as kind of in a way that the Yharnam Queen was able to do so, but obviously in a different context and on a different level than her, as we had the parts of the Great Ones themselves within us, and we're able to completely push forward and break past that kin barrier really just instantly. We we completely bypassed that any other transformation and went straight to becoming the Great One. This is what the choir was after. This is what the School of Mensis was after. This is what the Healing Church was after. This is what the Thumerians were after. This is what they wanted to become. They wanted to become these super near all-powerful beings. Now, the thing differentiating the School of Mensis with the Thumerians when leading to their extinction is that when they summoned the wet nurse, they were trying to become it seemed like they were trying to become Great Ones sort of instantaneously. And of course that did not work as intended. What the School of Mensis and Mikolash were trying to do, they weren't trying to become Great Ones right away.
Good. All signed and sealed.
Oh, we're being kicked straight to New Game Plus here.
Let's begin the transfusion.
We'll skip this.
Don't you worry.
And keep talking. What the School of Mensis was attempting to do, they weren't trying to do it right away. They were, of course, they wanted the same goals as us. Well, they wanted the same end game as us. We actually didn't have the goal of transforming into a god. It just kind of happened. But what I think they were doing, as opposed to Thumerians, is that they were trying to study first, rather than just get right into it. They beckoned the wet nurse. They had their new dream created. That was intended to bring it back so that they can watch it and go into the nightmare, study all of its creatures, its other inhabitants. They were eventually seeking to become the same thing, but they were willing to take that process just a little more slowly. Of course, they also did some really fucked up, horrible stuff on their way too. But once they got to the gate of godhood, they chose to, or Mikolash at least, as he seemed to be the only surviving member, decided to just wait and watch and learn. Because make no mistake, Rom was trying to hold all that back. Rom was doing her best. It probably would not have been a good thing had they succeeded. Now, let's look at that old hunter badge we got from Gehrman. This hunter's badge, crafted in Gehrman's time, has no practical purpose, except perhaps to assist in romanticizing about the past. The badge was a special privilege for the hunters of the past, and should not be dishonored. It should be left in peace, unless one is truly prepared to assume the will of those gone before. And that unlocks a new weapon. The Burial Blade. Trick weapon wielded by Gehrman, the first hunter. A masterpiece that defined the entire array of weapons. Crafted at the workshop, its blade is forged with siderite, said to have fallen from the heavens. Gehrman surely saw the hunt as a dirge of farewell, wishing only that his prey might rest in peace, never again to awaken, to another harrowing nightmare. Let's see if I can equip that. Hopefully. There it is. So in its default state, it is a single-handed blade. Some nice wide sweeps, followed up by a vertical. With on the R1, R2 tap. Is that sort of a arc hold? Becomes a charged up horizontal slash. L1 we transform into the scythe, which is very cool. Hold R2. Tap R2. Okay, that's the stamina recharge. Tap R2. L2. That's L2 3 in a row. Attack and transform. Attack and transform. This is a really cool weapon visually, and it also has some nice utility. It doesn't have any, at least as far as moveset goes, it's not a serrated weapon, so it doesn't have any special properties against slaying beast. This is the very first trick weapon, so they hadn't quite figured out yet that beasts don't like the serrated blades quite so much. And I believe that is it for the blade. Oh, right. It did mention it was made from siderite, which is an actual term for meteorite iron, and that makes sense very thematically for this game in general. And I appreciate the design here. Has all those little like sort of runes and markings etched into it. We are not done, so I will see you in a minute. I had a backup save. This is what happens if you do not eat the umbilical cords. And choose to defeat Gehrman. Admire that design. Be embraced by it.
And so, the hunt begins again.
So, if you do not consume the umbilical cords, you are not insightfully powerful enough to stand up toe to toe with the Great One presence, and that is unfortunate. But and in doing so, you become the replacement for Gehrman. You become the new surrogate. because you killed its child replacement, and so now you're going to be forced to be it. Until someone hopefully can come along and set you free, much like how we did to Ganon and many of those in the Hunter's Night. I believe the reason we are able to do it is because of how powerful the player character becomes, and I think also a bit from the blessing of the moon presence itself, as I said in the last set of credits, it beckoned us here to Yarnum and get the blood administration and become a hunter. And that's what it's powers it bestowed upon us, or we could potentially even have innately allowed us to end the suffering of many of those caught in these horrible dreams. And I will see you one more time at the end of a transition. And we are back one final time.
Good hunter, you've done now. You will die. You will be freed from this terrible hunter's dream. Farewell, my keen hunter. Fear the blood.
As through this ending we see Yarnum's dawn. It looks very nice.
Farewell, good hunter. May you find your worth in the waking world.
So that's the third and final ending for Bloodborne. So the context of that I feel is important to discuss. As the first bit of dialogue, we did an encounter as Jura did not kill us, in that if he kills you when you first encounter him in Old Yarnum, he says, you still have dreams, don't you? Next time you dream, give it some thought. And then Eileen the Crow, when she was kind of at death's door with that Kanehurst crow, she told us, I don't have dreams anymore. That means these characters have been through this similar process that we have, in that we spent the night hunting beasts, dying, coming back to life, dying, coming back to life, and just killing again and again, and being killed again and again, and that as the way that Gehrman points out there, it's it's not entirely apparent, but once you realize exactly what he's saying and how he's saying it makes a lot of sense. He says, be freed from this horrible hunter's dream. Hunter's dream does not just mean is a hunter's dream for all hunters that have gone through this ritual in order to die multiple times so that they can hunt beasts for a night or longer, depending how though it seems to be only a night at a time, and they just send out bunches of hunters who can't physically die until enough beasts are taken care of, and then they just wait for the next time the beast numbers shoot up a bit, and all the people applying for to be hunters get to be it for a night, and then go out and kill again. But that would cause some heavy PTSD, but I kind of sidetracked there. But Gehrman's comment, this horrible hunter's dream, he's not referring to a hunter's dream in general for everybody. It is his hunter's dream. He is the hunter that created this dream with the help of the moon presence. And it's horrible because of all the terrible, vicious, bloody cycle that's partaken in it nearly countless times at this point. And of course, with him bearing the weight of absolutely all of it on his shoulders, in his mind, on top of the horrible stuff he did at the fishing hamlet and everywhere else working for the healing church. He is not living a great life in there, but he takes some small, I don't want to say joy, it's more of it's a solace, some small solace in that hopefully in this process he can eventually stop the plague of beasts, especially with his final words to us, fear the blood, which Lawrence failed to do. Hopefully he change some minds, because as long as people are going to keep abusing blood, they're going to keep turning into beasts, and that's hopefully what the future that you'll steer people away from as a new great one. And also in those other endings, he himself is at least set free from this horrible hunter's dream, because dying and coming back to life ostensibly infinitely sounds significantly less pleasant the more you think about it. Immortality does have its cost on the body and mind, and Gehrman has definitely felt a lot of that. So I think that should pretty much wrap up this playthrough. I really enjoyed playing through it. There were, of course, a couple of road bumps, particularly to the end there with that last chalice dungeon, but for the most part it went very smoothly, and I got to talk a lot about pretty much one of my favorite games of all time at length. There's so much to this game, and it's like, even though I just finished this now, like the 6th time, this game feels so good to play. I could go again relatively soon. It just the way all the mechanics work, the way how satisfying it is to just in combat to pull off a visceral attack, to hit an enemy, to use a rally, and regain your health back. It just dashing back and forth, left and right, and through attacks and whatnot. It just feels fantastic. It's got this amazing Lovecraftian atmosphere that starts as werewolf Victorian horror, and the way it builds from one into the other, with all the subtle hints strewn about, until it finally reveals itself for its true nature. And all the weapons feel really good. All the armor, quote unquote, looks fantastic. I especially love this charred set. I love the basic hunter hat with the face mask over it, and the whole call out to Brotherhood of the Wolf and everything. That's just this game's just still one of my absolute favorites, and I think it's always going to be. And with that, I thank you all so very much for tuning in through this rather long journey, but I enjoyed every step of the way. And until next playthrough, I'll see you later. Thank you all so much again. Bye.